Okay, so those are the impending free agents, but there's also the
Right.
guys entering the final year of their deal who've been in the league for 3 years who are finally eligible for extensions. We've gone through this the last few years with, big name dudes, Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk, Nick Bosa. No big name dudes this year. This year it's just Ji'Ayir Brown and D Winters. Is either one worth a premature, not a premature, but a preemptive
Right.
extension before they hit free agency in 2027?
I think it's smart if you like a guy to do it this year because you just get ahead of the cap goes up. He plays really well and his cash goes up. Teams start bidding on him. It gets messy if you don't do it this year. But D Winters, I'm gonna firmly say no. Like I said, I just think
Thank you. I was
yeah.
afraid you were going to say yes on D.
Oh no! Like I said, I think Fred Warner, his injury really exposed D Winters, really put him out of. Like I said, I think he is. I could equate it to like bowling with the bumpers on. If you put the bumpers on, fine. He can bowl. A 200 and it can bounce back and forth, and he can knock down a few pins. That's great. But when you take those bumpers away, and that's Fred Warner, and all of a sudden he's roaming for himself, it's too many gutter balls and he's not scoring nearly high enough and he's given up issues in coverage. The only thing I think he does well is blitz, and like we talked about, Robert Saleh doesn't blitz enough, so he should probably go
Right.
somewhere where they blitz a little bit more. So I say firmly no for him, but I would say Ji'Ayir Brown, I have a hard time not saying yes with him, especially if Robert Saleh comes back. And I mean, what I think of Brown is he's been through they've tried to get rid of him plenty of times, or they've tried to start someone else beside him plenty of times, and they just can't seem to get rid of him. He's like a cockroach who, I'm still here and I'm still the best option you have, is what he, every year they come back to, he's still the best option they have. He's still the best option. And this year he's arguably playing the best. He had 2 interceptions against Carolina. Like I said, I think Saleh is able to play a different form of defense because him and Mustafa can both play back and forth. They can play in the box and deep, and they can switch pre-snap and post-snap and things like that. So I think he's a fit, and I think you extend him.
What's interesting about these two guys is they essentially are here to replace two very good starters
Right.
who are now in Denver, and they're healthy and they're playing well. And Ji'Ayir Brown is playing well and he's ascending, but I don't think he, at least yet, is anywhere near as good as Talanoa Hufanga.
No.
And what's ironic about Dre Greenlaw, it seemed like the main reason the Niners didn't bring him back is they've had injury concerns, which were valid. But
Right.
now he's healthy and Fred Warner isn't, which you can't predict that. But
Right.
I wonder if the Niners at this point regret or miss those players.
I think when it comes to Brown, like I said, I think that, and like you said, he signed an extension, but he signed, I just looked, $13 million per year with Denver. Ji'Ayir Brown, I'm talking more like $4 or $5 million per
Yeah,
year.
it's true.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I just think that $8 million difference is, I understand there's a difference, but I think for the 49ers, I think that they say, you know what, that's okay. I think if you're the 49ers, like I said, I think they thought between D Winters and Nick Martin, one of them can do this, and
Yeah.
now neither of them can do this. And that's an issue. It's so tough because Greenlaw, like Hufanga is better than Greenlaw. So, or like he's been healthier, he's been a better
Yeah.
player. He's been so good in Denver. Whereas Greenlaw is kind of coming along. He's been injured a little bit. Then he got suspended. Then he's come back and he hasn't been he's been better than, D Winters has been, obviously, but, he hasn't been that great. So it's like, do you miss him? Yes, obviously. But you also, I understand why they let him go, because every reason they let him go has come up in Denver. It's just, they also miss him. So it's a weird one.
I agree with re-signing Ji'Ayir Brown. I think that you saw what it looked like with Marquise Siegel. That's not an option. Jason, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily easy to find a good starting safety. And you have a good starting corner in Diamador Lenore on a second contract. You probably need another vet in this secondary to go along with him. And it seems like he's earning it. You could wait another year, feel like, let me just make sure this isn't a fluke. But if you wait another year and he plays well, then you're probably giving Talanoa Hufanga money, and you couldn't afford Hufanga to begin with. So you sign him now, you could probably get him 2-3 years. Now the question is, does Ji'Ayir go for it? How does he feel about this organization? He was benched. He's got moved around a little bit. He called himself a top 5 safety in the league. Like, does he believe that? Would he bet on himself? Don't know, but you need to figure it out and put a contract in front of him. You could do it now. No, you
Right.
can't. You gotta wait. You gotta wait 4 weeks. You could do it before the first week of the playoffs.
Right. And I agree, though, that I mean, I think it does come down to what does he think of himself? You are
Yeah.
correct. And what does he think of the way that 49ers have treated him? Because for the most part, they said to him, you're only starting because Hufanga's hurt, or you're only starting because, I forget the other guy who was hurt. You're only starting because people are hurt right now. You are, and then we were going to start Jason Pinnock, who, the Jets and Giants cast away over you. But then you say, but he's a really good fit in this Robert Saleh defense, and couldn't he
But
just
will
say,
Saleh be here? And did Saleh put his arms around him and make Ji'Ayir Brown feel like, "Look, man, we're
right,
benching you, but I believe in you, and we're gonna need
right,
you." Did Kyle give him the cold shoulder last year? Like,
right.
because it's again, there's a lot of players who feel like they're in, and there's players who feel like they're out, and the ones who are out are often on the defense, frankly,
That's
on
true.
the defense.
That's true. And it's going
Javarius
to
Ward,
take,
Dre Greenlaw, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, over and over and over. It's like, except for the two guys on the defense, and maybe Lenore is three, maybe not. We'll see.
right. Well, they paid
So
him. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah.